Saturday Night at the Movies with Andrew Collins. A video game special on Classic FM.
Welcome to the show that celebrates the very best in film scores on a weekly basis. If you're a regular listener, you'll know that we also make time for music from TV and regularly dip a toe into the world of video games. This week, we're showcasing the very best games music of the year, as well as casting an ear over the new entries from gaming in our annual listener poll, the Classic FM Hall of Fame. I hope that if you're not a gamer, you'll find much to enjoy in the creative, often cinematic and always innovative music being composed for games. We really do have some treats in store. But let's cast our minds back to January now and the release of Grim Fandango, Remastered. How about this to start? The title track by Peter McConnell. Kicking off our video game special, that was the theme from Grim Fandango by Peter McConnell, and we heard the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra there. The game has a Mexican feel. It's set in the land of the dead, and the music reflects that. Games music works in a comparable way to film soundtracks. It creates mood, it cues action, it supplies characters with leitmotifs, and the main difference, I guess, is that you control the action and, in a sense, the music. The best games music works in isolation from the game, though, and you let your imagination do the rest. We're working our way through the year in video game music here on Classic FM. In February, we saw the release of The Order 1886, scored by Jason Graves, known for Dead Space, Star Trek, and Until Dawn, which we'll hear later on in the show. If you're among those who requested something from The Order 1886, I hope you approve of my two choices, the Knight's theme and Knighthood. We heard the Knights theme and Knighthood there on Classic FM from the soundtrack to the game The Order 1886 by Jason Graves, the London Session Orchestra and the Metro Voices conducted by Ben Foster. I love the way that cello gently weeps. I also like the fine religious sounding choral work there, which feels Gregorian to me. It's rooted in Arthurian legend, this game, and set in a version of London post the Industrial Revolution where knights still keep law and order. That was requested by Kevin Agius and our enthusiastic friends at Classic VG Music. I've become rather evangelical about the quality of video game music this year. I usually describe myself as a lapsed gamer. I spent a huge chunk of my adult life in the late 80s and 90s playing games and enjoyed every minute of it. But appreciation of the music requires no hands-on knowledge. I'm an appreciative listener now, and if I can make this music accessible to non-gamers, then I will have been put on this earth for a purpose. In February, John Suchet selected the Final Symphony album, orchestral arrangements of extracts from the world-beating Final Fantasy series, to be his Classic FM album of the week. And from the 10th game, this is Suteki Dane. the Beethoven of games music, Nobuo Uematsu, with the delectable Suteki Darnay from Final Fantasy X, played by Katarina Treutler on Classic FM. If you like the music from the Final Fantasy games, you'd be interested to know that Symphonic Fantasies will be arriving at the Barbican in London in 2016. This will be the first time this music has been played in the UK by the London Symphony Orchestra, who are Classic FM's orchestra in the city. More details to follow, but something exciting in the new year. The Final Fantasy series is the highest placed game score in the 2015 Classic FM Hall of Fame chart, currently placed at number 9 in the top 300. That tells us quite a lot and generates a lot of impassioned debate on classicfm.com. We'll hear from the 5 new games entries in the Hall of Fame after 6, but right now let's turn to March this year and the release of Ori and the Blind Forest, which is among the most requested scores for this special video games show. Lost in the Misty Woods by Gareth Coker from his score for the game Ori and the Blind Forest. That was the Nashville Scoring Orchestra, conducted by Alan Umstead. Composer Gareth Coker did his best to avoid using percussion in the score for this game, instead focusing on strings and wind instruments. The effect is lovely. Among those who named Ori and the Blind Forest as one of their scores of the year were Joseph James Hammond, James E. Arjun and Richard Stokes, who got in touch via Twitter. It's an American game published by Microsoft and it's influenced by Japanese animation, especially Studio Ghibli. It's a platform game in which the guardian spirit, Ori, tries to restore the balance of the forest he lives in. It's nice to have a purpose. More then from Gareth Coker's exquisite score. With vocals by Airily Brighton, that was Ori and the Blind Forest, The Sacrifice by Gareth Coker on Classic FM, with Alan Umstead again conducting the Nashville Scoring Orchestra. His influences include Ravel and Debussy, Mr. Coker. Still to come before 6, more classical music from a relatively untapped source. The Witcher 3, Bloodborne, and something completely different, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. But next, another Final Fantasy, leading me to question the accuracy of the word final.
Saturday Night at the Movies with Andrew Collins, a video game special. Classic FM.
That was the theme to the game Final Fantasy Type O by Takeharu Ishimoto. We had Brett Kelly there conducting the Sydney Symphony Orchestra on Classic FM for this special video games show. I'm not going to get bogged down in the plots of the games or the formats and the technicalities in this programme. I'd rather we all listened without prejudice to the music and judged it on its own merits, which are many. That said, Final Fantasy is a way of life for some gamers, and the Final Symphony concerts sold out from Wuppertal in Germany to Tokyo when they were held over the last couple of years, which is why we're so excited about the fact that the Symphonic Fantasies are coming to London in the new year. We don't know when exactly, but at the Barbican will be where you can see the London Symphony Orchestra playing various games music, including Final Fantasy. Another Japanese game next, Bloodborne, which was released in March. That was The First Hunter from Bloodborne. The score by Tsukasa Saito. We heard Ben Foster conducting the studio orchestra there and the Metro voices. That really is a dark gothic game, Bloodborne, with a score to match. And it won Best Original Game and Best PlayStation Game of the Year at this year's Golden Joystick Awards. I hope all this dramatic and emotional music from the world of video games is enhancing your Saturday evening, whether your particular epic quest is taking place in the car, at work or at home. We all like to imagine we're in a video game sometimes, don't we? Or is that just me? Do get in touch and let me know what you think of the selections. Go to classicfm.com or head to Twitter, where there's always a healthy debate about the musical choices wherever we turn our attentions to the world of video games. Some of the great classical music was written to order, and it's no less powerful or timeless for that. I'm proud to give equal weight to music from film, TV and games. If this is the first time you've joined us, please do make a date with us here at Saturday Night at the Movies. Next week we'll be raising a glass of something fizzy to Steven Spielberg in the run-up to his birthday. And the following show will be dedicated to Star Wars The Force Awakens, with music from all of the films and hopefully some exclusive interviews too, fingers crossed. Back to the best games of 2015, and in May it was all about The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. That was from the score to the game The Witcher 3. Words on Wind was the name of the piece. It's by Marcin Przytzbilewicz. The game was developed by Polish company CG Project Red. It has a sweeping Eastern European flavour, that music. The violin is to the fore, which I love. And Lauren Aitken requested that via Twitter. Mark Griffiths is also a fan. One of the most anticipated games of the year for us at Classic FM was Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, because we're big fans of the music by Jessica Curry. And so are you, judging by the barrage of requests we had for it. We were delighted when the score entered the Classic FM chart back in August, and I've chosen two extracts from Jessica's score, starting with An Early Harvest. From Jessica Curry's score to the game Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, that was an early harvest. That's gorgeous, a pastoral piece which hints at the unease of the game's story, which is the mysterious disappearance of an English town's residents. It was developed by a relatively young company, the Chinese Room, who are based in Brighton. Jessica Curry is their in-house composer and joint studio head. You can listen for free to more of her work at jessicacurry.co.uk, which I suggest you do. This next track from her score for Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a vocal piece, Carry Me Back to Her Arms. Carry Me Back to Her Arms on Classic FM from the score to the game Everybody's Gone to the Rapture by Jessica Curry. We heard Cleo Gould conducting the studio orchestra and the Metro voices and the London voices. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture harks back to a sense of English rural mystery and perhaps witchcraft. The game was developed with one foot in that tradition. Those who requested it, many of them citing Rapture as their game and score of the year, include Peter Allen, Richard Stokes, Steve Vancouver, Johnny Wilcox Beanie, Martin S., someone who goes by the name of Cake and Comics, someone else who goes by the name of Sausage Mahoney, and the We Love Games music community. We'll continue our look back at the most rapturous games music from 2015 soon here on Classic FM. But next, it's all about a very special chart countdown that takes place here every Easter.
Saturday night at the movies with Andrew Collins. A video game special on Classic FM.
Thank you so much for inviting me into your home this Saturday evening to evangelise about the glorious music of video games in a space that's ordinarily reserved for movie scores. This is our fourth show dedicated to games music this year, and I hope you're enjoying it, whether you're a keen gamer or embarking on a voyage of discovery with this new and exciting source of orchestral music. We'll pause now from our look back at the year in video games music and focus on the 2015 Classic FM Hall of Fame, our annual poll to discover your classical music tastes. And by classical, we mean opera, ballet, baroque, romantic, film scores and video games. There were 5 brand new entries for games music in this year's Top 300, and this was the highest new entry in the whole chart. At number 84, it's The Legend of Zelda by Koji Kondo, which takes me back to a good place, namely the fictional fantasy kingdom of Hyrule. Just tremendous. That's the suite from the game The Legend of Zelda by Koji Kondo, with Andrew Skeet conducting the London Philharmonic Orchestra on Classic FM in our video games roundup of the year. That is as sweeping and majestic as something by John Williams, I think. You don't need to have played this vast game to appreciate it, but if you have, and I have, it will prove an instant rush of recognition. Koji Kondo is legendary for his work at Nintendo. He was the composer on Super Mario Bros., one of the defining games in the mid-80s. And that was the highest new entry for a game score in the new 2015 Classic FM Hall of Fame. The first new entry was for an American composer, Martin O'Donnell, and his music for the ever-popular Halo series, which is in number 244. O'Donnell is synonymous with the futuristic Halo series, having scored the first 3 installments. Halo 5, Guardians, was released in October this year and scored by Kazuma Jinuchi. But here's something from Halo 4, predominantly scored and produced by Neil Davidge. It contains one track by O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore called Never Forget Midnight Version. That was Never Forget, Midnight Version from Halo 4 by Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore. We heard the Hollywood Studio Symphony Orchestra there on Classic FM. This is Saturday Night at the Movies, turning our eyes and ears, but not necessarily our thumbs, to video games this week, as we want to do every once in a while here on Classic FM, devoting 2 whole hours to a medium all too often overlooked, musically speaking. Another new entry back in Easter in our annual poll, the Hall of Fame, was for Gustavo Santaolalla and The Last of Us. He's a favourite of ours here because he's one of the many games composers to have a foot in film too. In fact, he's a double Oscar winner for his scores for Brokeback Mountain and Babel. The Last of Us entered the Hall of Fame at number 193, and from it, this is All Gone, No Escape. From the score to the game The Last of Us by Gustavo Santaolalla, that was All Gone, No Escape, with Alan Umstead conducting the Nashville Scoring Orchestra on Classic FM. That is truly haunting, as it might well be for a game set after a fungus-based apocalypse. Another new entry for a video game score in the 2015 Classic FM Hall of Fame was for StarCraft II. Your votes helped it to get to number 163 in the top 300, and from it, this is The Showdown. number 163 in the Classic FM Hall of Fame poll. That was The Showdown from StarCraft II by Russell Brower, Neil Acree and Glenn Stafford. We heard Aymar Noon conducting the Skywalker Symphony Orchestra there. The game is set in the 26th century. It's an epic struggle between races, and you get a sense of scale from that music. You can hear the John Williams Star Wars influence too. Well, it is the Skywalker Symphony Orchestra. Lucius H. Moxon got in touch via Twitter to suggest something from StarCraft II. He's a big supporter of Jason Graves' composition work on the brand new instalment, Legacy of the Void. We've already heard his work on The Order, 1886, and we'll be hearing from him again. We heard earlier from Nobuo Uematsu and his score for Final Fantasy X. He also had a new entry at number 118 in the Classic FM Hall of Fame for Blue Dragon. You can view this year's Top 300 at classicfm.com as a list or as a fetching and informative visual slideshow. But right now, let's enjoy Waterside for piano and orchestra from Blue Dragon. Dexterous fingers on a keyboard might well be a uniting theme for our celebration of video games music. From the score to the game Blue Dragon by Nobuo Uematsu, that was Waterside for piano and orchestra, played by the new Japan Philharmonic Orchestra. I'm taken by the old-fashioned melodrama in that score. I heartily approve of that. The final track on the second disc of this soundtrack is where you'll find Waterside for piano and orchestra. That was released in 2006. I hope you're enjoying the music on the show this evening, and as always, do get in touch to tell me what you think of our selections. If you're new to the show or to video games music, I'd love to hear your first impressions. Just go to classicfm.com classicfm.com and click on Email the Show at the top of the homepage. Or if you're on Twitter, find us at Classic FM. Alex James is taking us all out on a date from 7 this evening here on Classic FM, which is nice of him, when he'll be taking a look at the big events, premieres and anniversaries in classical music history over the week ahead. Still to come before then, more of the best game scores of 2015, including Until Dawn and Fallout 4. And if those names mean nothing to you, trust me, they're well worth waiting for.
Saturday Night at the Movies with Andrew Collins, a video game special. Classic FM.
Two pieces from the Jason Graves score to Until Dawn, which were You Go Girl and Icicle Elegy. That's the second appearance on the show for Jason Graves as we celebrate the year in video games music. I really like the distinctive use of violin on Icicle Elegy. Is that a deliberate nod to Handel's Saraband at the beginning, do you think? The Grammy-nominated composer Austin Wintory continues to do great things in the world of games music. He scored Journey Remastered, which was released in July, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which came out in October, another game soundtrack to make it into the Classic FM chart, our weekly countdown of the 30 best-selling classical albums. From it then, this is Family. Could a violin be any more mournful? I have to say it's always a plus to hear bells tolling at the end of a piece of music. That was Family from Austin Wintory's score for the game Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It's short, but instantly atmospheric. That's the 9th game in the French-Canadian Assassin's Creed franchise. Wintory is an American composer whose claim to fame is that his score for the game Journey was the first to be nominated for a Grammy in their soundtrack category. Small steps to legitimacy for video games music. By the way, Assassin's Creed is being turned into a movie. That's not always a good thing, but we hope this one will be good, as it stars Michael Fassbender and we're directed by Justin Kurzel, so they're basically reuniting after their excellent adaptation of Macbeth. That will be out in a year's time, apparently. One of the big releases in recent months in games was Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, which remastered the 3 games in the series, Drake's Fortune, Among Thieves and Drake's Deception. By all reports, the game redefines adventure storytelling, and from the second game, I've chosen Nate's Theme 2.0. Imagine this is from a film. from Greg Edmondson's score to the game Uncharted 2, Among Thieves. That was Nate's theme 2.0 on Classic FM, with J. Eric Schmidt conducting the Skywalker Symphony Orchestra. Greg Edmondson worked on all three Drake games, by the way. It reminds me of Hans Zimmer with that pounding rhythm. It's a cinematic game with hints of Indiana Jones and the iconic game Tomb Raider, except with a lantern-jawed male protagonist. I'm Andrew Collins, and I'm chuffed that you've chosen to join me this Saturday night to explore the world of video game music. We'll be back to film scores next week, but I hope you agree that games music is no less cinematic. Remember, for many people, the interactivity of games makes them better than films, which can seem rather passive by comparison. November saw the release of the latest instalment of Call of Duty. If ever there was a series to rival intelligent action cinema, it's this combat brand. Black Ops 3 is the follow-up to Call of Duty Black Ops 2, funnily enough, and both games were scored by Jack Wall. Wall earned a BAFTA Games nomination for Best Original Music back in 2010 for Mass Effect 2. So, from the new Call of Duty, number 12, if you're counting, this is the prologue and Black Ops on Classic FM. Prologue followed by Black Ops from the score to the game Call of Duty Black Ops 3 by Jack Wall. He was also conducting the Nashville Music Scoring Orchestra. More Hans Zimmer influence there, I feel, and why not, when Zimmer worked on the score to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 with Lorne Balfe. There's more crossover than you might think between films and games. Our journey through the best games music of 2015 is nearly at game over, but we'll finish with one of the most hyped releases of the year, Fallout 4, which, confusingly, is the 5th game in the Fallout series. Just go with it. It's another dystopian vision of the future. Oh, there are so many. Although Part 4 goes back in time to 2077 when the bomb drops. I never said it was cheery. From the score by Israeli composer Enon Zur, this is the main theme. The main theme from Enon Zur's score to the game Fallout 4 on Classic FM. That's a brooding piece. It creeps up on you, doesn't it, and lingers ominously, like nuclear fallout, in fact. Enon Zur has scored over 50 video games, and we played recent scores such as Dragon Age Inquisition and Fantasia Music Evolved on previous forays into games music here on Saturday Night at the Movies. We'll finish off with a reflective extract from Fallout 4 that reminds me of Time from Inception, which happens to be by the aforementioned Hans Zimmer, or even Thomas Newman, and is more delicate. See what you think. From Enon Zer's score to the game Fallout 4, that was Liberty Lives. It's sophisticated, that, and intriguing music, and so atmospheric. That stands alongside anything we played on the show this year from the movies, I think. And remember, if you're playing the game and you can't open that locked cabinet with the really big laser gun inside, set the Alsatian dog onto it. He'll open it. I really hope you've enjoyed our roundup of the best games music from this year, and if you've discovered new pieces of all composers, then I have not wasted my time here on Earth. I hope to have the pleasure of your company next Saturday from 5, when we'll be looking ahead to Steven Spielberg's birthday. So get ready for his big hits from across the decades, including Jurassic Park, Jaws, and E.T. Oh, and the video game Medal of Honor. As always, send in your requests via classicfm.com, and also for your best film scores of the year, which I'll be focusing on in our end-of-year show. But let's not wish away the time. Alex James will be popping around in just a moment to take you out on a date.